And with that, we continue with another highlight speaker. Christian von Hardenberg is CTO at Delivery Hero, and there he is responsible for all information technology and engineering, which Delivery Hero is a leading gig economy and food delivery company that operates in more than 50 countries. And I'm sure many of you in the audience have used it to fulfill any of the cravings that you have. And prior to Delivery Hero, he has been 5 years as a CTO at Rocket Internet, where he helped launch more than 30 companies, which obviously is one of the most successful incubators in Europe. And he was also the CTO of Lazada, the leading e-commerce company in Southeast Asia. So obviously he has a lot of experience building like high growth, high scale companies and their infrastructure. So with that, I'm very, very much looking forward to hear his talk. And he's going to explore a major trend on how online merged with offline. And he will share how Delivery Hero shapes the future of local commerce. Please all give a very warm welcome to Christian von Hardenberg.
Hello, everybody. Very nice to be here. Happy to join Techsylvania. I wanted to ask a question to the audience, but I guess I don't see the audience, so I'll ask it to myself. My question is, who likes ice cream? And probably you all do, like me, but the question is, who has ever delivered ice cream online, ordered it, which maybe some have done, but the next question is really, who has ever gotten such an ice cream delivered home online? And I think that is really where the future of local commerce is coming from, where we are trying to really make it happen that you can get such an ice cream in 10 minutes or less delivered to your home and it's not melted. And when I first time tried that service, I was quite amazed that this actually works. It feels like magic. It took just minutes to eat the ice cream. It was gone, but I still remember this first time when that worked. And I want to talk today a little bit about the technology that's behind that magic to get ice creams in your hand in minutes. My name is Christian Hardenberg. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Delivery Hero. And my talk is about how we merge online with offline, how we get, how Delivery Hero shapes the future of local commerce. Before going there, let me just introduce a little bit what Delivery Hero is all about. We are a company that was founded about 10 years ago in Sweden as a startup. And with a very simple idea to build a website to deliver food from restaurants. And from there, it has grown quite impressively. So nowadays, we're in 50 countries around the world, in places from Korea all the way down to Argentina, in Middle East, in Southeast Asia, in large parts of Europe. We employ 40,000 people, and that doesn't include the riders. We have now close to 1 million restaurants on our platform, delivering close to 10 million orders every single day. And to make that happen, we have quite a lot of engineers behind the scenes. There are currently 2,500 just coders at work at Delivery Hero across different locations. Our main hub is here in Berlin, where we have around 1,000 engineers sitting. But we also have development teams in places like Taipei or Singapore, Dubai, Istanbul, and Seoul in Korea. Now, you would probably ask yourself, what do we need all these engineers for? What are they doing? Can it be so hard to get something delivered? And I think there are two basic answers what we need these teams for, and why we are actually continuing to grow technology quite aggressively. Let's say next year probably we'll add around 1,500 engineers to Delivery Hero. One is that the bigger you are, the more you realize whatever you touch, the only way to do it efficiently is with technology. So that's not just the core of the product. It's not just the actual food delivery process, but it's how we do marketing. It's about how we do excellent customer support, how we do flawless operations, how we run our rider fleets, how we integrate with the restaurant partners and other players in the market. And it's kind of, the more you, in every of these areas, you can go deeper and deeper, and the bigger you are, the more it makes sense to invest in technology to get better, to build this efficiencies and better products. But it's also, the bigger you get, the more data you collect. We have, the sheer endless amount of data just from our riders. We have currently 800,000 riders on the platform, and every time they move, we get a GPS signal and know where they are. So using this data with machine learning to generate new insights. For example, what's the best route from A to B, or how do we can predict how long it takes to cook a certain dish in a certain restaurant, or how long a rider will take from A to B. All this we can derive from our data and improve the service for the customer. So the message here is, when you get bigger, there's just the beginning. The bottleneck might be customers or might be vendors, but when you have this certain size, the bottleneck becomes technology, because no matter in what area of the business, there's always more you can do, and that doesn't even cover all the good ideas that you could do on top of your core service of food delivery. There's probably a second answer to why we need all these engineers. That is because we have this, since I'm here and since before, there's this tendency to go from simple to more and more complex. You master the simple, and then the simple in our case was initially, you take this flyer that you have in your mailbox and put it in a website, and then people can order online. That's it. We solved that, I think, with 4 engineers initially, but then others can do that. And suddenly we had hundreds of competitors all over the world. So I'm almost forced to say, okay, what's the next more complicated thing or complex thing to solve? And that for us was, for example, initially we sent, for example, faxes to restaurants. You wouldn't believe nowadays, but now we built an app for the restaurants. We send the orders directly into the kitchen, but that's not enough. What's the next? The rider is doing, the restaurants is doing all the delivery, and maybe we can do that better actually. So let's start our own fleet, and then moving from 100%, a marketplace model where the restaurants do all the work to our goal is 100% we do the delivery. Obviously, is a major investment in technology and makes the business more complex, but also helps us defend it against competition. But we don't stop there. The next step is maybe we can help the restaurants actually buy stuff, because we can do that at scale better than others. Or we can make sure they have good packaging that looks good and is eco-friendly. Again, now we are in the complexities of procuring packaging from China and delivering it all over the world. Or maybe we can actually do more than just restaurant delivery. Why not deliver other things? And suddenly you kind of slide down this slope of increasing complexity, which is a good thing, because the more complex, the more technology becomes the core of the business, which I personally enjoy a lot, to help the business become more and more have more impact in the world with great technology solutions. In our case, what also added a bit of complexity, that we're actually not just one brand. Not many people actually know Delivery Hero, but if you look outside there, we have, I think, 30 different brands. We grew a lot by acquisition. So this brand Delivery Hero is actually a house of, from a company in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Wua in Korea, to Foodora in the North Europe, to Talabat in Middle East, or Hunger Station is a business in Saudi Arabia, to some of these don't exist anymore, but it shows a bit that, of course, adds another level of complexity, how to integrate all these different brands into one system. So that's what I'm working on day in and out. But before I touch a little bit more on how we do this, I also wanted to talk just 2 minutes about myself, how I got to do this job, being Chief Technology Officer. I think the basis of it all was that I just enjoy coding. I was already, with age of 8, fascinated by technology, and started teaching myself on an Apple IIc in the 80s how to do BASIC, and basically never stopped with this fascination of how to creatively solve things. And I hope you tech people out there have the same passion than me, and bring that maybe to your kids, because we need more coders in the world for sure. I try to convey that to my kids. I have actually four boys at home, and tried them to teach coding, and I found it not so easy to show this fascination. One thing I tried is, let's build something together, and use a bit of JavaScript. And what I find so amazing is that with a few lines of code, there's not a lot behind this. We can look at the live code here. This is just 2 pages of code. We were actually simulating the solar system, and it's actually working. Sorry, let me just go back to the other window. You could, when I started this simulation, it was actually not that interesting, because, sorry, just need to go back to the other window. Nothing happened. Let me show how that looks. It was so realistic. We plugged in all the numbers from Google Wikipedia. Nothing was moving here, because till Earth rotates around the sun, it takes a year. So then we said, maybe we should speed up things a little bit and make 1 second 1 day. And yes, the Earth was actually turning. And then we said, maybe we can do better than that. Why not play a little bit around with the values of the gravitation and so on, and suddenly these stars start doing very interesting, cool things, and generate these beautiful patterns. And all this took maybe 2 hours to build, and it is still for me this sign, like with a few lines of code you can do pretty amazing things and simulate the solar system. And that is also, I would say, what drives me still today, that technology is so powerful. that drove me to and in the beginning it was about building things. I think later it was more about doing things efficiently and maybe to a degree elegantly, and that for a long time was my passion to do elegant and efficient code. Nowadays, probably with such a large organization, it's more about how can I apply these ideas on an organizational level, and I'll get back to that. Moving on a little bit to what are the problems we are solving, and what is really this idea of online merges with offline and local commerce. As I described, we started with restaurant delivery, and that was working beautifully. When I started, we were 100%, a business that were our aim was to connect restaurants with customers. We are our own fleet, but then we realized there's such a big opportunity to use this real-time fleet to connect other things to it. So the first big idea is what we call quick commerce. How can we, e-commerce, everyone is used to get things on the next day and maybe on the same day, but we had this fleet of riders that can deliver food in 10 minutes. Why don't we use this fleet to deliver anything in 10 minutes? And the first step was really very simple. We set up our own warehouses in cities like Istanbul or Berlin or wherever we were. And we used very small stores. We call them D-marts, because our riders cannot go very far. So we rather have in a city like Istanbul 40 different stores, and then in the center of the city. So the distances for the rider is very short, and that also allows this 10-minute delivery. And then we fill up these stores with what people like, from groceries to drinks to whatever people need, and connect that to our delivery fleet. And suddenly we had a completely new business. We started that 2 years ago, and now have literally close to 1,000 of these little warehouses all over the world in 20 countries, which allows us to offer the customer a complete new type of experience that you would not get on Amazon or any of the e-commerce players. So we were actually looking for a new name to differentiate and called it quick commerce. But I think that the much bigger vision here is really we cannot put everything in our little warehouses. That's too limited. We really, as a next step, now working on connecting every shop in a city with our logistics system, so that we can allow these little shops, if they, no matter if this is groceries or a pharmacy or a flower shop or a gift shop or whatever, can be delivered in a backpack, to become online. And I think this is very powerful because the future is online. People, consumer behavior is shifting. People love to get their problems solved now with an app, as you see in ride sharing or in many other areas. People don't want to go to a place, pick up a videotape and put it in a record. They want to do it with one click on Netflix. So this expectation we can solve, but we can do it in a way to connect all these local retailers to our platform. And I think the nice thing is these retailers have the experience in products and have certain relationships with suppliers, and that we can never mirror. But what they don't have is an efficient rider fleet, success to the customers, is the know-how how to build amazing apps, is the ability to do online marketing or online payment acceptance and so on. So we kind of take that all away and help them to connect to the online world. And that's for us the next big vision. And we're super excited to move from just hot food delivery from a restaurant to this world where we deliver basically anything that a city has to offer in local commerce. As this is a tech conference, obviously I don't want to talk about just our business model, but also a little bit how. Already talked a bit about what do we need all these engineers for, but I think the interesting question is, me as a CTO, how do I set us up for success? This ambitious business that's constantly adding complexity, having new ideas, and then even buying new companies, which makes things even harder. What do I focus on? How do I set up my teams for success? And I believe in the end it boils down, and that's true for pretty much every tech company, where the two things we as CTOs are responsible for is build reliable products and build effective teams. We need, especially with this large, fast scaling, reliability is one of my core concerns. Because if our system is down, people are hungry, and you cannot recover from that. If our restaurants, they stop getting orders, our vendors, our riders stop moving in the city, our customers are hungry, our customer call centers go hot. So we basically never can be down. And so one of my prime responsibilities is build this very reliable product, reliable and secure. And the other one is build effective teams so we can actually deliver what the business looks for. So let's talk about both for a second. I start with the reliable products, and I don't want to talk about the basics, which you all know about: microservices, infrastructure as code, CI/CD, moving to the cloud, Kubernetes, how we do APIs and queues and so on. All these are building blocks that are, you can go to the well-architected framework from Amazon also to read it up. I think what might be more interesting is talk a little bit about specific things we do to create a culture that builds these, while we deliver a lot, we do more than 1,000 releases per day, still keep our systems reliable. I think in the end, it's all about culture. And culture I define about how do we get people to do the right things when we're not around as managers? Because we can't be everywhere. We can't look at the fingers of the person who's coding and make sure he doesn't press the wrong button. We need to kind of build a culture that they do the right thing. And I wanted to just mention a few little things that really worked well for us and that could also help you build reliable systems. I think it starts with best practices. You probably have seen this coding guides or coding standards that I like because someone comes in, can see, what are the rules here, how to produce good code, and we applied the same for reliability in a very short and very pragmatic and precise form set. This is how we build reliable system. We called it the Reliability Manifesto. I'm just finishing it up and I will put it online very soon. So on our tech blog, you can find it, I think, in the next few weeks. So happy to share that because that's really the basis of how to set a standard that is very practical and precise. But then you need to make sure people actually take that serious. And the one very effective way to do so was what we call a weekly operations review. I stole that a bit from Amazon, but I don't know if many might know that, but I think it's still a very, very useful format where every week all the tech leads get in a room online and we just look at, we celebrate success, we look at incidents and extract the learnings for the whole team. And then we pick one team randomly by Wheel of Fortune that has to present how they proactively improve reliability of their system, how they monitor, how they manage, and what could go wrong and what they do about it. So with a retroactive looking at postmortems, it helps us learn from mistakes. With picking a team that has to kind of present what they do to move. We also kind of force the teams to look into the future. What's so nice about this random picking of team is that everyone is always prepared and a little bit has it on top of mind because they could be picked in the next weekly operations review. Next thing we do is quarterly architecture reviews where just the teams present their architecture and the main question there is always, what could go wrong and then mark that as technical debt, things that are not efficient or not great. And then we have a tracker for this technical debt and put it in a backlog and whenever we have time to clean it up. We do game days once a quarter where we simulate real problems. For example, your Amazon AWS availability zone is down. Now you need to deal with it, or actually you have to set up your whole system from scratch, from backup. Let's take the time how long it takes without being prepared because the teams don't know when this game day will happen. And we again this force making it a game, having prizes, having a winner who was the fastest to recover. That's the culture. Small things like a Slack group called performance wins, where people can put in, when they did something cool that improved performance, and others can kind of celebrate that. Or also being very focused on load testing. We cannot have our customers test our load. We every week automated push our systems, live systems, to 5 times the load from real customers to see if they can handle. And doing that on live really forces us to build systems that are very reliable. And so I'm just sharing a few ideas here you can pick up. Maybe we can use the Q&As if you want to go a little bit more in details there. But for me, that was really the core of making sure we can deliver in a very fast growing business. Since I'm here in the 5 years, we grew by a factor 12. So it's sometimes hard to, and in some countries we grew by a factor 1,000. Yeah? So it's sometimes hard to keep up with that. I think that as interesting. And last point from my side is, how do you build effective teams? Because it's not enough if your system is reliable and everything is running. You want a team that can react quickly to ideas, that can get a lot of things done. We call it deliver solutions. We are a delivery company. We want our teams to deliver. And now, as the team grows, there's this tendency to everything gets slower. And we are also a little bit affected by that, because you just have more interaction points between teams. So for me, the real interesting question I'm always trying to get better at is, how can we keep up the speed and make our teams effective, productive, and as we grow? And I think there are a lot of learnings from the early days from coding are still can be applied to the question of organizations. For example, you all know probably what refactoring is, remove duplications. I think we apply the same to the organization. But when you grow, sometimes you see two teams doing the same. So then you refactor, you remove this from the organization. And I think you need a ability of an organization that is used to change and can deal with that. So we probably do some reorganization every 2 months somewhere, which is a bit like refactoring. It becomes a good thing, that you constantly clean up in small steps where there are inefficiency in the organization. Another thing is encoding the solid principle, that a class or an object should do one thing well and not have kind of multiple responsibilities. And I think this is also exactly applies to organizations. If it's unclear what a certain unit in the organization, be it a team or a division or so, does, if they don't have a good name, if it's if they can't clearly put in their name their scope of responsibility, that's not a good sign. And similar to it's probably typically not a good sign in architecture and code if you have bad names. Then maybe you need to talk about what is this thing doing, and using the same for an organization has been very successful principle for me. Another idea from coding is eventual consistency. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I think this is really, really interesting, but I hope it's okay for you that we can continue this in the Q&A stage, where I'm sure there's a lot of questions. But in the interest of time, we unfortunately need to move on.
Let me wrap up in 2 sentences. So my point is, I could show more examples, is really using the learnings how to build efficient and elegant code to build efficient and, to a degree, elegant organizations and teams. And with these 2 things, I think building reliable products and efficient teams, we were able to handle so far, doing this magic of delivering ice cream in 10 minutes to your door, and more magic to come and more people to hire. So if this is something you're interested in, feel free to let us know. We are looking for people, so happy to answer your questions. Thanks. Sorry for overrunning.
No worries. Thank you so much, Christian. This was really fantastic. And Christian was kind enough to agree to do a Q&A session with us straight after this. So if you're listening into this and want to ask Christian more how you can get ice cream in less than 10 minutes and be part of the team creating that, feel free to jump over to the Q&A stage where you can ask Christian your questions one-on-one. So with that, I really want to thank you. Thank you so much, Christian, and hope to see you next year in person at Texavania.